We got another Q tag riddled main slate. Questionable tags abound. Hopefully it'll be working in our favor today. We're going to talk about what we're always talking about here. Projections, comparing my data to Stokastic, one of the industry leaders. We're also run some ownership, run some sim lineups. We're also going to check the prop betting markets, courtesy of our friends at Unabated. By the end of this video, you'll know the must plays, including my splash plays for the slate. And let's get into it. This has not been my favorite week of DFS. I got to say that. The constant Q tag moving around, as the slates are locking, as the slate's already going on, it just makes me like my lineups are so built on the idea of like pre-slate stuff. When things move around, I really have a hard time with it. So I don't enjoy the amount of Q tags we have once again after yesterday. Nikola Jokic, guy that I liked a lot on paper, got downgraded to questionable. Actually, first got downgraded to probable, then downgraded to questionable. Then he was just out and he left the arena early with an illness. It's been really rough dealing with this stuff lately, just trying to balance the stuff out. Karl-Anthony Towns ruled out lately. So here's the guys questionable today, and who knows what other ones may pop up or just get suddenly ruled out. Karl-Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton, DeJounte Murray, Miles Turner, Kyle Kuzma, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Denny Avdia, Andre Drummond. You already have Embiid out, already have Paul George out for the Sixers. That's a key one here. Your probable guys, which don't really matter that much, they're going to play. Giannis and Andre Jackson, doubtful / already pretty much ruled out. Ben Simmons and Jokic and Gordon, we know, are now questionable. So that's how we're looking right now. You just got to get right to the video. That's how YouTube works best. Appreciate the feedback, though. But yeah, so basically right now, here's your Q tag, guys. Let's talk about the projections. Appreciate all you guys watching, and let's get going here because we got 8 games. Going to be a ton to talk about. Nikola Jokic, if he goes today, looks like a strong play. In fact, the best projected play in the slate. No Aaron Gordon. The rates take a little bit of a jump up, and they're already sky high for Nikola Jokic as it is. 4.2% field ownership. I would get him 20% my top 150 lineups. He is a Q tag again. I would hope we'll know earlier than yesterday. And it was really weird how it came out yesterday where it's like one of the beat reporters said, Nikola Jokic seen leaving the building. Like they didn't even put out an announcement from PR that he was ruled out. They're still going to let you keep thinking he was a Q tag if that reporter didn't see him leaving. So it's kind of where we are right now with the Q tag reporting / the NBA as it is. Jokic, if you assume he goes, price tag getting pretty high at 12.7. As I've mentioned, still can go to 13K. Knowing the historical precedent for guys like Russell Westbrook that just reliably put up 70 fantasy points. When I have Jokic projected for 68, I feel good enough getting there still. So if he plays, I'll get 20%. That said, he's not as much of a must-have priority, I think, on the slate with guys like Wemby, guys like Giannis on the slate. Highly projected Tyrese Maxey as well, as you'll see in a moment. Cade Cunningham looks pretty good to me. 57% sim ownership compared to the field's 23. Another player here that benefits from guys being out in his rotation, Jaden Ivey being the big one there. Cade Cunningham overall this year with Jaden Ivey off the court. Actually did take off Oscar Thompson too, even though it doesn't matter that much. Cade Cunningham with those guys both off, 34% usage, 47% assist rate, about 1.5 fantasy points a minute. Excuse me, would put Cade Cunningham in sort of that hallowed ground we want to have for these guys that are really all priced above 10K. For Cade at 9,800, you would see him underpriced. Does feel a little bit sacrilegious to have him better projected than Wemby right now with how well Wemby has played. That said, Cade's facing Brooklyn. There's not a lot to worry about there despite a down pace spot. Really soft matchup there for Brooklyn having nobody left. So Cade in his spot, playing 36 minutes in the projection here. I think he's one of the stronger plays on the slate. He's getting in my lineups quite a bit. Victor Wembanyama fields at 9%. I'm at 8. My projection, not that far off Stokastic, 57.5 for me, 57.8 for them. Wemby, hard to critique here. The matchup versus Giannis, one of those games, maybe Wemby gets up for it even higher like he did going against Jokic. When you're playing, another great, that is something some guys get up for. And it does seem like Wemby, obviously kind of anecdotal, has seemed like he does kind of get up for these matchups a little bit. So you want to go to Wemby, no issue with it really. The field will be there 9%. I think I'd rather have the lower owned Jokic personally at the awkward price tag. But Wemby, valid play as well. But, he's just one of these guys here, I think, up top that isn't Jokic to me. So not a priority, I would say, but getting with the field on it doesn't feel bad. Giannis, 23% for the field. I'm getting 10%. Again, matchup here going against Wemby on the other side. You'd be hoping for Giannis that he could play, similarly here like Jokic did in that same spot against Wemby last week where you didn't need both guys to win a tournament. There is enough value potentially to cram both guys in at 11-4, 11-5. Getting a little bit tight there, though, for sure. But he does look like a pretty good play overall. Though, again, you're going to have very similar salaries. I don't think there's a big reason why Giannis should be this higher owned than Wemby, given the fact that I have Wemby higher projected and so does Stokastic. In fact, 0.4 higher for both of us. So I would say that, like, Giannis, to me, a little bit weird that he's 23%. I have it much flatter. 8% in my top 150 for Wemby, 10% for Giannis. Tyrese Maxey, a big one. Earlier in the day, he's projected for over 80% ownership. You have no Paul George today, no Joel Embiid. They're also facing Washington, so a dog shit team on the other side. That's a perfect storm to play Maxey, who's been playing sometimes 40 minutes in games. Today's projected for 38.8 minutes. I would have him at 55 fantasy points, 55.2 if you want to be accurate down to the decimal point. Stokastic has Maxey at 54.4. So one of your top plays in the slate, still, despite the high price tag, seems like an incredible value. His rates also with Embiid and Paul George off the court. Averages 1.2 fantasy points per minute and might have him a little bit higher today. Yeah, I would have him today at 1.4. So you are asking a little bit of an elevated production there compared to where he's been. But still, even at 1.2, he's probably going to pay off that price tag. The main question is, when you're spending at 8,900 on him, let's say he does give you 50, 55 fantasy points. What if you have Cat putting up 70? What if you have Harden with no Kawhi, who's tending to his family during the fires in California, which people are making fun of Kawhi being soft. I saw some of those fires. It doesn't look like a good time. So you guys are in that area in LA. Of course, my former native land before we had a child. I hope you guys are doing all right out there and you're not in the Malibu area because it does seem like pretty brutal times. But that said, Kawhi's out. So Harden looking okay. Point being is like, there's another way that these guys can get there where it's not Tyrese Maxey. Even McCollum at 8K. You might have DeJounte Murray not playing. Zion out. Ingram out. Trey Murphy out. Right now, a Q tag is going for DeJounte Murray. So if he doesn't go, McCollum's going to look better as well at an 8K salary. Point being is like, you don't have to play Maxey, but he's going to be played a lot because he does project really well. And you expect him to be able to beat up on Washington even with nobody there. Washington, a terrible team. You're going to see a lot of old Tyrese Maxey coming up today when you don't have Paul George and Embiid in. And for anybody who thinks that Embiid is only playing soft matchups, which I'm guilty of too, he's not playing Washington. This would probably be the one where you could put up 70, 80 fantasy points if you wanted. I'm sure similar amount of real life points that he'd love to see. But he's not playing today. So he's just all fucked up. Is what he is. DeJounte Murray, a man due to shoot better, as I've said for countless weeks, had a 12 for 20 day yesterday, 55 fantasy points in that game for the Pelicans. A nicer spot today for them going, Going against Portland, that's right. Portland gave up a good amount of production coming out to the guard spots, in particular Cade Cunningham in their last game as well. So for me, getting DeJounte Murray, if he does play today, not highly projected, 3% free, the field's going to be there. I'm at 1%, but still a spot for DeJounte Murray as a tournament play. Your first guy here that's this low owned, I think he's worth some shots. Hartenstein, I'm high on as always, 33% there, and that kind of sums up the highest dollar options. Let's sort by value here, take one more look before we go game by game. Stay tuned here. Value, here we go. We're getting insurance at SoCal, absolute shit show, hurricane level of property loss. Yeah, I mean, it does seem, from what I've seen, people comparing it to the Maui fires, I think that does feel pretty similar. But yeah, that's definitely, it's tough. I mean, it's kind of easy to make fun of Kawhi for being Kawhi and whatever, but like, it's fucking, like, if you haven't seen the some of the footage out there, the one in Pacific Palisades, they actually shipped my money. I'd see that in my feed, and then I saw him retweet it shortly after. That's one that's brutal, where it's like their entire little town is just like burnt to fucking nothing, and houses burnt to nothing. Very tough to see. But obviously, there's a lot of tragedies in the country. I get it. Jared Butler, your top value on the day. I have some concerns about him, but he's 3K minimum, going to be playing the back of minutes at the very least. If Bub Carrington we're out, aka Carlton Carrington, if you're looking at any of the data sheets or one of the lineups out there, if he's out, they have nobody left. Jordan Poole is out today. Jared Butler going to be the better play as a result. Malcolm Brogdon's out today. If you get Carrington out, they have no real true point guards left. So you might see a little bit more Keyshawn George, I guess, playing point guard would be one thing for him. But Butler right now, if you have Carrington in, you're not like locked into a ton of minutes. He can play some alongside Bub. I did play the fourth quarter a good amount alongside Bub when they were really playing from behind yesterday versus Houston. So like they can play minutes together, but there's no guarantee you get minutes together. So if you get Carrington in, I think Jared Butler's a little bit risky play. That said, with that 21-minute projection, 21.4, he plays really well per minute. High usage guy, high assist rate guy. I'd have him in 63% of my top 150 lineups. But again, I would caution if you get Carrington out, he's definitely like, I would put Butler in every lineup. If you get Carrington in, I would try to kind of knock this ownership down a little bit because I just don't trust that minutes projection at 21. There's no guarantee they play minutes together. And I think right now, they're just like expecting him to play the exact same minutes he played yesterday, which included time with Bub Carrington in the second half because they were so far behind, and also included some blowout run when they were so far behind Houston, they took all the starters off the court. So I think the Butler minutes projection is a little bit high here. Wiggins getting 24 minutes today. You still have Caruso out. I think it'd be the main reason why his minutes go up and down. The Thunder wing minutes, seemingly besides Kason Wallace, not the most predictable. Don't mind Wiggins as a $3,200 guy and a slate where there's a ton of value. But the 24-minute projection for him might be a little bit high. And frankly, the minutes projection for him too, the projection itself just feels a little bit high at 21.7 for Stokastic. That said, I got him in 20% of my top 150 lineups because you having that 3K value guy does help a lot in the slate where you have a lot of things you want to pay up for, including Tyrese Maxey and kind of getting him in every lineup. Kelly Oubre, another top value here despite being 5,100, projected to play 36 minutes today. Whenever there's one of Paul George out or Joel Embiid, you do see Kelly Oubre try to get his own shots up a lot more. Now you get both guys out. So Oubre here, technically a revenge spot going against Washington for him. And Oubre, for whatever it's worth, he really plays hard against the Hornets. I've noticed every time, another revenge spot for him. Oubre just might be one of those guys that hates former teams. Going against Washington, he could do a little bit more for sure, especially all the usage to go around. So Oubre actually have lower projected than Stokastic today at 33.3 compared to their 34.2. The field will be at 61.5%. I'm at 54. So really no issue with having that much Oubre, even though if I were to try to knock his projection up a little bit more, I would get him even more. And honestly, it does feel like he should be about 1 fantasy point per minute today, but who knows? Tyrese Martin, another guy here, no nets. Ben Simmons out. D'Angelo Russell out. Cam Thomas out. Cam Johnson out. I don't know if they're pre-tanking or what, or just saving these guys up for trades. Ben Simmons supposedly injury management with all his historical injuries going on. Martin, though, 31.5 minutes, again, feels a little bit lofty for him. He is one of the few guys, though, that can kind of get his own shot a little bit, seemingly getting a little more confident as a ball handler, too, starting to rebound a little bit more, do some things that aren't just him standing in the corner, which I think is a positive from previous days when he was super chalk. That said, he's 4,600. The price tag's coming up. I'm at 30 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 28.5. So I'm getting to more, 39% of my top 150 lineups. They're at 22%. Stephon Castle, no Jeremy Sohan today. Castle's 3,400 and projected to get getting 26 minutes. So it's really the whole logic there. 21.5% Castle for the field, 20% for me. Champagny, 3,600. So that's the one. This is the Champagny on Washington, right? No, that's the one on San Antonio. Okay, so him getting the Sohan minutes matters. The one on Washington also matters a little bit too. If you get Kuzma out, the one on Washington is going to be in play. So both Champagny's viable, but currently the San Antonio one, this 27-minute projection looks like a better value. And that's that for now. Brandon Boston feels going to be playing him a lot at 38% ownership. I got him at 21%. Another guy playing backup minutes. No Trey Murphy opens it up a little bit for him, but if you still have McCollum and Murray in there, I kind of have a harder time getting to Brandon Boston. But that's that right now. Let's go game by game here and appreciate all you guys watching. And if you get value out of this video, guys, I'm just one guy here trying to run an NBA channel, trying to run an NFL channel, preparing for both as hard as I can every day. And please show some love. Subscribe down below at the like button, leave a comment. Trying to get to our first 1,000 subs here on this channel after starting about 1 week into the NBA season. We're growing at a rate that I'm pretty happy with, but it could always be faster. So please show some love here. About 60% of the people watching these streams don't subscribe, and it'd be really cool if you did, and especially if you want to see the streams. The algorithm might not serve it up as easily if you don't hit that like button and subscribe. Check out our sponsors too. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Stokastic, 15% off. All the links in the description down below. And Unabated, which you'll see coming up in a little bit, $30 off with the promo code SPLASH. All right, Oklahoma City, big marquee game here. Fantasy-wise, going to be decently owned as well with the Thunder and Cavs today. 114 implied points for the Thunder, 116.5 for Cleveland, about 15 to 20%, a little bit more like 10% for a lot of different Thunder guys. The big one for me is Hartenstein. I just always get more Hartenstein in these matchups that seem favorable to him. I just basically average out the differentials between the opponent and then how much they're giving up in rebounds, assists, stuff like that. 3-pointers, the whole thing. And basically, Hartenstein, I would say in this matchup, doesn't seem naturally like it'd be the case. Go against Cleveland, I see more rebounds to go around. I'd have Hartenstein projected pretty well at that 21% rebound rate he has on the team right now. You could get any of these guys, though. I really don't feel like I want to have necessarily a third of my lineups tied up with Hartenstein because of the value that could open up later. But that's what it comes up naturally in the top 150. I don't take her with that just because I think it's an easier talking point here for the show. SGA, 17% played. I'm only getting 2 in my top 150. I do have them a bit lower projected, about 4 fantasy points lower. That is, I think, partially having Hartenstein higher. I'm really not sure why else he would be this much lower for me. I do weight the current season a little bit more, and I know Stokastic does kind of keep things even where this season counts equally as much as every game from last season. So that's probably a part of the picture. And a match with Cleveland too. Expect a little bit less peripherals, I would guess. But I'm lower on SGA, so I'm just low there. I don't necessarily want to be that low, but that's a stand that I'll get naturally, and I'm not going to go too crazy about it. Jalen Williams, 5% play for the field, 5% play for me, closer to the field on that one than SGA, who's pretty chalky. Lou Dort, 20% of the field. He's the kind of guy that with the value that could open up later on the slate, with some of these guys getting rolled out, I really wouldn't love taking up a roster spot with Lou Dort too early. But he's going to be 20% played by the field. I got him in 13% of my lineups. Aaron Wiggins, frankly, same principle, but I am getting in 20% of my top 150. The field will be at 12. Kason Wallace, 12%. I got 3. Not the biggest thunder stance for me besides Hartenstein and Wiggins. Definitely, I would say, not the most comfortable place to give a ton of ownership to as a first game on the slate. There's so many Q tags we missed the beginning of the video, as there is every night lately in the NBA. For Cleveland, nobody here above 10% owned. Mobley's the highest owned, 10% for the field. I'm getting 7. You want to go to Donovan Mitchell. It's going to be a pretty tough defense on him today. But one of him or Garland getting going seems logical. Garland's the one I like more at the price point on most slates lately, and it hasn't really bit me in the ass too much. He's averaging 1.16 fantasy points a minute. Mitchell's averaging 1.24. You are paying about $1,000 more for Donovan Mitchell. So get to either guy. They're both kind of low-owned tournament options, but it is a tough Thunder matchup. They have more than enough wings, unfortunately, to throw at Mitchell, to throw at Garland. Who they throw at Mobley, I think is a tough one. I mean, you're probably getting J-Dub on him a little bit. That's pretty tough. I think Mobley could be the one that gets going a little bit more usage-wise here because Mitchell and Garland, for as good as they are, like this is really a tough matchup on paper. You can see here I added the defensive efficiency ratings as well. Basically, per 100 possessions, this means that the Thunder are giving up 105 points. So pretty big drop-off from where Cleveland is normally scoring 120.7 per their 100 possessions. Chicago, 118.3 implied points. Indiana, 124.3. This morning, the minutes projections and projections for Stokastic weren't out yet, so I put Halliburton in the thumbnail for that reason. He's questionable right now. If he were to get ruled out, it would be a huge one because you would then get TJ McConnell being one of the best plays in the slate. So watch out for that one. If Halliburton's out, slate's completely different. Everybody should be playing McConnell at 3,800 in basically every single lineup you have. Besides that, for Chicago's side, nobody here looks that good of a play. They're all appropriately priced for not having Ayo Dosunmu out there. Everybody here about a 5x-ish value is the high point. Guys like Patrick Williams got 5% of him compared to the field 6.5, but nothing else here looks that good. Chicago, to me, kind of aggressively priced overall, even though there is a tournament upside going against Indiana with this high of a total here. This combined total is one of the highest in the slate. In Indiana, too, not a good defense. So double whammy there if you do want to play a bull for some reason. For Indiana on their side with their 124.3 implied points, a lot of ownership going to Pascal Siakam. I'm always low in the Pacers overall. It's kind of one of the core things in my projections I'm not really sure how to address. Basically, a combo of them kind of producing less well this year. Since Siakam came in, all of their production per 100, per 100 possessions was kind of the core where you could break down all the stuff. They basically all produce less because of having Siakam in the mix. So I kind of think the price tags never work for me. That said, in terms of ceiling, Halliburton definitely has a ceiling in a spot. When you see a high total spot, Halliburton being lower owned, I think he's always a play worth going to. Siakam, I really don't want that much Siakam, but he is 6,900. That price tag's pretty cheap for where he's been historically. Miles Turner, he's got a Q tag on him too, right? Yeah, he's got a Q tag right now. If he were out, Obi Toppin, Thomas Bryant would both look a lot better. But assuming he goes, he's an okay play. Not a priority for sure, but 5% for the field. I got him in 1% of my lineups. Nembhard is a value at 4,900, being point guard, shooting guard, looks okay. I got him in 19% of my top 150. The field's at 12. Obi Toppin already getting 16% of them on a slate where there isn't great value. Obi Toppin is a backup center, good permanent producer. Those are guys that always try to look at his value on slates where there isn't really obvious guys to go to. Jared Butler is your obvious guy, and even that, again, as the minutes could be a little bit finicky for him, depending on the Wizards stuff works out with Bub Carrington. So yeah, point being, there are guys to play here from Indiana. None of them a must-have to me. Nembhard and Obi Toppin are two guys that, like, if you gave me better value, I wouldn't get them. But right now, with the slate being what it is, those guys come up a little bit. And the Siakam thing, I'm just low on, and that's another one where I'm not going to, I don't need anything with that. But the matchup does fit those guys getting there. I'd probably favor a lower on Halliburton, though. It seems like the kind of spot for him where he could go off. Whenever he's under 10% owned, he's not that expensive now. Nice game total for that as well. I think that's kind of when you play Halliburton. And that's why he's on the thumbnail. And it's just kind of eyeball tested this morning. Washington, 104.5 implied points. Philadelphia, 116. As I mentioned, no Jordan Poole, no Malcolm Brogdon. Kyle Kuzma, questionable. Probably not going to play after he missed the second half yesterday, but he is a Q tag right now. Sarr, also questionable. Basically, if you get Bub Carrington out, who's also questionable, you're going to have Jared Butler being one of the best plays in the slate, 3K minimum salary guy who's playing at a 1.03 fantasy point per minute place. I love Jared Butler whenever you get him in kind of these situations. There's no other guards left. And he actually gets court time because he does produce no matter what. He's produced in Utah before. So really, to me, Jared Butler is the one to watch out for. Good value as it is. I'm getting him in a lot of lineups right now. I would probably want less if I'm going to massage things more than I have time to before the show. But everybody else here doesn't look that great. You need Kuzma out, I think, for these guys to start looking better. Koulibaly is kind of appropriately priced, but would look better if Kuzma's out. Champagny would look better if Kuzma's out because he'll pick up some minutes. Jonas Valanciunas is still the pure backup to Alex Sarr, so a little bit tough for him to find a minute ceiling, but if Sarr out, that would open up a ton for him as well and probably get Rashawn Holmes back in the mix, I guess. So Washington, a lot to watch out for right now. As it is, though, they don't look like the greatest plays overall. Besides Jared Butler, who's a pretty good bench value, but those minutes at 21.4, it's a little bit of a steep projection, I think, for him playing. It's kind of pure backup minutes only behind Carrington. For Philadelphia, 116 implied points. Once again, no Joel Embiid, no Paul George. You're going to get Tyrese Maxey out the wazoo today. 71% ownership for the field. I got him in 75% of mine. Kelly Oubre, 62% for the field, 54% of mine. Both of these guys are key plays today. Tyrese Maxey, the way you move away is other guys beating him out in that projection around that salary point. But it's a little bit tough to expect that. He does have a really high projection, a 6.2x value for me, and I have him at 1.4 fantasy points per minute today. Andre Drummond's questionable right now. If he plays, he's going to kind of impede things a little bit for Yabusele. Yabusele, though, still looks like decent value. He has the worst body type of any player in the league right now, I feel like. Yet he's so effective with it. He's just like round. He's like muscular and round. It's really odd. Like a pro wrestler with roid gut, but I don't think he's got a roid gut. But Yabusele, whenever these guys are out, rebounds better, gets some 3-pointers up, all of that. Same situation for him today at a 5K salary. So going to look better if Drummond's out. If Drummond's in, still projected for 32 minutes as it is. So probably a decent play. Adam Bona becomes a better play, I guess, if you get Drummond out as well. He soaks up some of those backup center minutes. Caleb Martin, as it is, a 30% owned play, a 37% sim exposure for me in my top 150. These guys are all crucial plays today. Washington sucks. Philadelphia is not priced to have Embiid and Paul George out, and Washington sucks. They're not priced to be in a matchup against shitty Washington. So it's a ton of cheap guys here. They're all pretty good to rotate in and around. Really not one I would love. Drummond, if he does play, interesting tournament option, but he has not been a good Andre Drummond this year. Not to be too sexy. He's strong fat. He is strong fat. He's just like, again, just a weird build. He looks like this kid I was friends with in high school. He was on the football team. We were on the same intramural basketball team and just like kind of built like a hippo, but moved fast and was very strong. One of the strongest guys on our football team. So weird combos. Sometimes, hey, more power to him. Stronger than me, I'm sure. Let's get some Butler tonight. I hope so. Again, I really hope that we get Bub Carrington out. I love Jared Butler nights. Those are the nights we want to go to. Also, Fan Negro Jones. It's a hilarious name, too. So hopefully you're a black guy, though, with that name. If you're a white guy named Fan Negro Jones, I regret pulling up the chat. Toronto, 109.3 implied points here. Not a lot to talk about on Toronto's side. If you have Barnes, Barrett quickly in. Same thing for Pirtle. Pirtle is the most competent play here for me at center. Nothing else here looks that good. Matchup against New York, revenge game for Barrett, revenge game for Quickly. What do you do with that? Not a whole lot. I think in this spot, these guys are all really expensive. RJ Barrett at 9K with Quickly and Barnes in. That's a lot to ask for him. Barnes himself at 9,300 with Quickly and Barrett in is a lot to ask of him. He's not really a high usage guy in the same way when those guys are on the court. So get to Toronto if you want to. They're all tournament options, but not a lot to love here for sure. Really low projections, to be honest. For New York on their side, the Cat looks like a good play as it is right now. 17% for the field. I'm at 21%. My projection's about 3 fantasy points higher as well, 54.3 compared to 51.5. Everybody else in the Knicks low owned. If Towns is out, though, you're going to get maybe another Jericho Sims start. He sucks. He's one of the worst centers in fantasy-wise in basketball. He rebounded pretty well the other day, but averaging 0.65 fantasy points per minute, which is like impossible as a center because you're going to fall into rebounds, fall into blocks, some shots at the rim. He's just so dog shit. They should start Achua if you do get Towns out, but there's no guarantee they are going to do that. If Achua starts, though, he's a decent play here at 4,600. His rates take a pretty big jump up with Towns out. The rebound rate in particular goes up a good amount, and he averages about 1 fantasy point per minute with Towns off the court. But really the big benefits here, if Towns is out, Brunson, Hart, closer to playable at their pretty elevated salaries. Precious, if he's starting, would be okay. Sims is a value you can go to, but he does mostly suck. Detroit, 110.8 implied points. Brooklyn, 101.8. And guys, if you get value out of this, again, it's a lot to go game by game, I know. We're going to hit some best bets in a moment on Unabated, but please support the show. Subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. It all goes a long way for me. Just one guy here trying to show you my NBA prep as best I can. And of course, I'll be on the deeper dive on Stokastic today. It's a Wednesday, so I'll be on at 5 o'clock on there as well. If you want more of me volleying back and forth with my pal Josh Engelman, check out the sponsors too, Underdog, Stokastic, Unabated. All of them are linked down below if you want to take advantage of our various promo deals and support the show and yourself. Detroit, 110.8 implied points. Cade Cunningham, chalk play for me. Fairly chalky for the field as well. 23% of the field's ownership be going to Cade Cunningham today. I got him at 57%, so I'm happy with that amount for him. Again, he's been a beast overall, averaging about 1.5 fantasy points a minute with Oscar Thompson and also with Jaden Ivey off the court. Oscar Thompson part probably doesn't matter that much, but it is worth noting that he does get a little bit of a rate bump from Thompson not being out there too. So Cade to me, priority play today. Definitely a high projection. I'm at 58. Stokastic has been 52.9. So as I always say here, please feel free to default the site with a staff of employees and tons of $1 million wins on their background. That said, I think for Cade, the rates for him look good this year. The performance looks good. Me being higher too, I think reflects him performing better this year than last year. That short-term sample size this season that I weigh a little bit higher. So I think Cade's one of your best plays on the slate here, and I think he and Maxey should be in most of your lineups, I feel like. One thing that I would say is a caveat, pretty shitty total for Detroit here, 110.8. Brooklyn does play at a low pace. It's a pace-down spot for an already kind of slow Detroit team, but still, Cade's good enough. I think I'm into him more than I probably should be today. Nothing else on Detroit looks good, so I'll just skip over it. Beasley, borderline playable, though. Does get pretty big rate bumps. I'm at 1.08 fantasy points a minute today, but at 5,700 in shooting guard. Doesn't seem to be coming up that much, but 3% for me. The field's at 1% for Beasley. Brooklyn on their side. Everybody's out here. Currently looks like, and there might be a few guys who are active but not currently on the DK slate that I might have to add, but I don't think they have a full – they don't have like 12 guys. They have, by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. An 8-man rotation in the NBA is usually like your gold standard for guys in DFS. You just want to jam in. That said, the Nets are pretty awful, and they don't have the highest total in the world at 101.8. It's not a tough matchup going against Detroit, but it isn't a high-paced one. Still defensively, a 114.8 defensive efficiency, so a matchup where you should be able to put up points. You should want Nets on paper. The issue that I have is like, and this, let me make sure this is still the case. I had nobody projected for more than 15 real-life points. I have Noah Clowney having the most points here at 15.1. On paper, none of them project that highly points-wise. And if one of them goes off, let's say even puts up just 20, so that's going off relative to them, they probably take points away from one of the other guys. So I might lean to be Tyrese Martin, who does have pretty good usage overall. Gains a little bit from having nobody else in the court in terms of the main guards. All the guys who are out of the rotation, including Cam Thomas, including Cam Johnson, including D'Angelo Russell, including Ben Simmons, and including historically Dennis Schroeder. Tyrese Martin should gain the most here. So he's going to be 22% played by the field. I'm getting him in 39%. I'm always low on Keon Johnson, but he does benefit pretty well. I do have higher projected today. But he didn't come up much for me at that $5,800 salary. That said, he's going to be playing 30-plus minutes. So another guy here that can be kind of that pseudo point guard. If he gets hot, he's going to shoot a lot of shots. He's got the highest usage on the team besides Day'Ron Sharpe. Day'Ron Sharpe himself is questionable, and the price tag is up. So he's not as good of a play as he was the other day where he smashed his value. You still could certainly get there, but he did directly take minutes from Claxton in that game. I don't know. You can expect that every game. Noah Clowney, guy who does have pretty decent usage. He's a decent shooter. He's 4,400, projected to play 30 minutes. He looks okay. Nobody looks great, though. Like Martin looks the best, but he's now at 4,600. You're paying a real price tag for him. He's been only a 0.85 fantasy point minute guy in the year. I have him at 0.95 today. Hard to love Brooklyn. I think that I'm going to make my case for Martin and Clowney to a lesser extent. Those guys are the chalkiest guys here. Zaire Williams has spiked an upside before. If you really wanted to take a shot on these guys, like somebody can really explode. If one of Claxton, Keon Johnson, Zaire, Jalen Wilson, Day'Ron Sharpe, probably not Ev Buonmo. I've never had to say this name out loud. Not Tosan, and probably not Beekman. But everybody else here, like if they go off, they probably hurt the chalk that's Tyrese Martin and Clowney. So you can definitely play other Nets. And the total's not awful, frankly, given that that team is really shorthanded and shitty. Portland, 111.5 implied points. If you're tuning in for the unabated betting market, stay tuned, guys. Just trying to get through the game by game. But Portland, 111.5. New Orleans, 113 here. Chalky ownership for Ayton. I'm matching that. 24% for me, 23% for the field. I am low on Simons again. He just hasn't played well enough this year. He went off the other day. He and Shaedon Sharpe both went absolutely fucking bananas versus Detroit. If you want to get there, I certainly wouldn't blame it. It is definitely a little bit of a point chasey thing, but Sharpe looks okay to me. Simons less so, but they're both still in the playable range. So if you want to chase points, they have another soft matchup against New Orleans. And again, they just both put up like 50 fantasy points each the other day versus Detroit. So Sharpe and Simons wouldn't be crazy to go there, but the field definitely is chasing it, I think, appropriately here with 19%, 17% respectively. Denny Avdia, no Jeremy Grant again. Avdia himself is questionable. If Avdia is out, you're getting more Tamani Kamara, I guess. So he's already getting 35 minutes. Maybe more Chris Murray then. Klingon also questionable, but that won't matter too much because you would just get Robert Williams. But if you do get Denny Avdia out, it opens up a good amount of minutes for Chris Murray as a value play. Maybe Kamara getting a few more minutes. Definitely looks a little bit better for Portland having Avdia, who's kind of a ball hog, as we've talked about here in the past. So Portland, interesting team, soft matchup. Not the highest total in the world, but definitely guys to go to here. New Orleans aside, DeJounte Murray questionable. If he's out, everybody's going to look a lot better. McCollum surprises me, 35% usage in court time without Zion, without Trey Murphy, and without Brandon Ingram. Both Murray and McCollum, it seems like having Murphy out is sort of their big leap forward in terms of their usage and upside, in terms of their production. Both guys, I'll save you because I'm trying to make some better time here. Both guys do take a big leap up in fantasy production. McCollum actually has a 35% usage rate without those guys. So that's kind of occurred to me after he put up 50 fantasy points or 50 real life points the other day. Like, why was this? It's because he just shoots a shitload more when you have one less, key player out there in Trey Murphy. So McCollum, I think, looks good as it is. If Murray comes out, I think McCollum joins Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Maxey in that kind of must-have guard territory. As it is right now, 4% for the field, 13% for me. I'm good with that. Brandon Boston, a big value play for the field, 37.5%. I got him at 21. Not a big stand in favor of Brandon Boston for me, but he's definitely still a part of my lineups. Really, New Orleans here, if you get Murray out, it all looks a lot better. Alvarado's going to look playable again. There's going to be a lot more that opens up if you don't get Murray playing. And if Murray himself goes, he's probably a good play at 8,500, but he would be direct leverage against the Maxey if you don't want to play Maxey for some reason. But if you add him onto a Maxey too, people probably want that same price point twice. So Murray, I think, an interesting tournament play today. I was just putting up 55 fantasy points the other day. Clippers, 113.8. No Kawhi Leonard. James Harden to me projects a little bit better as a result. Zubac as well. Norman Powell as well. 9% for the field to Harden. I got him at 14. 7% for Zubac for the field. I got him at 9. Norman Powell, 13% for the field. I got him at 15. So we got Clippers here looking pretty decent here with no Kawhi. Matchup against Denver, not the most difficult one. Decent defensive efficiency rating. Decent pace up as well. Going into altitude, though, for James Harden, whose shape is sometimes in question. Maybe a little bit of an issue, but no issue besides that. Getting Kawhi out now. The guy's price tag is starting to come down because of Kawhi being back in. So you're getting kind of a benefit overall for the Clippers now with Kawhi not playing today. Denver, Jokic questionable. If he's playing, I got 20%. If he's not playing, Jamal Murray, Westbrook look better. Westbrook, I'd probably trust the most at his price tag. You're also going to get Dario Saric starting. He was awful yesterday, but he's 3K minimum and be getting starter minutes again. If he plays poorly, though, he'll come off the court. So Peyton Watson played well yesterday with no Nikola Jokic out there. Don't know you want to chase that, but he's an okay play as well at 3,400. Really, you get Jokic out. These guys are all in play again. Right now, they're not in play. And last game on the slate, thank Jesus, we got San Antonio, 110.8 implied points. Milwaukee, 115.8. Nobody here projected above 10% besides Stephon Castle, 21.5% for the field. I got him at 20% in my top 150. Victor Wembanyama, 9% for the field. I got him at 8%. So another decent play here. If you get Jokic out, you can swap right away to Wemby, swap right away to Giannis. That's a positive for Jokic on this slate. You're still leaving about $1,000 on the table, though. So that's a trade-off. You do have Jokic in your lineups tonight. For Milwaukee on their side, 10% Giannis for me, 23% for the field. Feels like a lot of Giannis. I feel like if we knew Jokic was playing by lock, people would get more Jokic in. I think it would get a little bit more evenly split between these guys. But it's not easy to pay up today. The value's not tremendously there. Giannis, I think, is getting there because he's a little bit cheaper than Wemby and Jokic. He's also power forward center as opposed to just center. So Giannis, decent play enough here. And you know what time it is, guys. Here we're past the halfway point. We got to check out some betting markets. Let's learn about Unabated in the world of conditional NBA projections that you can take yourself into like Alice in Wonderland starting now. post-apocalyptic world, we got sick-ass numbers. Look at all these numbers. What could you even do with this many numbers? How many numbers do you need, you greedy pig? Conditional projections, real-time news that won't call you a greedy pig, I presume. I don't think they're doing that normally. Prop lar, oh, we know we're going to get here. We're simulating some different markets out, looking at our different prop lines, and we got grass. Oh, we got grass. Oh, climb on top of that graph and slide on down. Hit your nuts on every ridge, every nook and cranny. Like a Thomas's English muffin. That's what those graphs are like. And then you'll count your money with the best betting info in the world and unabated. Check it out for yourself. And there's the site. Woo-hoo. There we go. Big graphs, thick graphs. Look at that photograph. El Graficos. Thank you. I love satisfying the G-spot graphs. Thank you for that. Fury Road is the best damn action. Thank you, Mad Max. You sound entirely unbiased in that take. All right, your top points bets right now. So we're going to take out all the Q-tag players, which there are a lot of. 10 guys right now, according to Unabated, have a Q-tag. Denny Avdia, Tyrese Halliburton, Nikola Jokic, Kyle Kuzma, Miles McBride, DeJounte Murray, Alex Sarr, Day'Ron Sharp, Cat, Miles Turner. So we are down quite a few teams as a result. We'll pull in the bets we can. Maybe it's going to be only Chicago. We'll have a few teams here that we can pull in bets from, so we'll be all right. All right, we got enough pulled in, I think, now. Go up top, resort, sip of water here. Long day, guys, in the office. That's what we're doing. Oh, I got ice in my mouth now. It's not good for talking. All right. Evan Mobley, 13.5% EV on over 17.5 points. That one is on FanDuel Sportsbook. Oh, man. I'm spitting now because of the ice cube. Hold on. I swear to God. It was like a really big ice cube. It's not a big hole. It's a pretty small bottle urethra for an ice cube that large to come out of, to give me like a kidney stone in my mouth. We got Evan Mobley, though, over 17.5 points, minus 114 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, gets you 13.5% EV. Also good to go on your PrizePicks and Underdog, over 17.5 points on both of those, gets you 11.7% EV, and playable as well on DK Sportsbook. So Evan Mobley, over 17.5 points anywhere. Like I mentioned, going to be tough coverage on Donovan Mitchell and on Darius Garland in that spot with the Thunder's wings. So you go to Mobley here, it makes sense. Getting plus EV bets for all of it. Emmanuel Quickly under 17.5 points. You're getting Barrett in, you're getting Barnes in. You got a fully healthy Toronto team at this point. Quickly having a lower points total makes sense. Minus 115 odds on DK Sportsbook for under 17.5 points on Quickly. Gets you 11% EV. You're not playing it on your pick'em sites, and you're not playing it on FanDuel. So DK Sportsbook only. Emmanuel Quickly under 17.5 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. under 12.5 points, plus 100 odds on DK Sportsbook. Gets you 10.3% EV. Still playable on PrizePicks, but not on Underdog. Under 13 points for Tim Hardaway on PrizePicks looks good. And that's that. DK Sportsbook plus 100 looks the best. Kevin Porter Jr. Under 10.5 points. Gets you minus 120 odds on DK Sportsbook. 9.4% EV on that. You don't want that Kevin Porter bet on your pick'em sites. You can't get it on FanDuel. So Kevin Porter, another DK Sports exclusive or DK Sportsbook exclusive, 9.4% EV for him under 10.5 points. Isaiah Hartenstein over 11.5 points. We love Hartenstein here. We're a Hartenstein household. Over 11.5 points at minus 122 odds gets you 8.3% EV on FanDuel Sportsbook. Not good anywhere else, but good to go on FanDuel Sportsbook. Dean Wade under 6.5 points, 8.3% EV at minus 122 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. You don't want it anywhere else, but you can take it on FanDuel. So good day for the main sportsbook, less for the pick'em so far. Let's see what we get on the rebounds lines. Long day here wrapped up our national championship game. Another NDSU ring to add to their collection. Sad to not see any of them in your QB breakdown this morning. Oh, for North Dakota State? Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know why I would ever have that. But maybe one day. Maybe if Trey Lance comes back in, right? He was North Dakota State, wasn't he? That sounds right to me. All right, let's resort here. All right, now we got it. Wow. Okay, really high EV. Zach Collins, under 3.5 rebounds on Underdog. That line shouldn't be available. 38.8% EV for your Underdog pick'ems for a lower on 3.5 rebounds for Zach Collins. That's right. Carson Wentz too. Good point. Bruce Brown under 2.5 rebounds, 23% EV for Bruce Brown, basically not really in the rotation now. They're just kind of keeping him healthy for potential to trade him here. We got Bruce Brown under 2.5 rebounds, 23% EV on your Underdog Pick'em slips right now. Tim Hardaway Jr., another under for him, under 2.5 rebounds at minus 135 odds on DK Sportsbook, gets you 21.5% EV. Chris Paul, plus 134 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, over 4.5 rebounds, gets you 18.2% EV for Chris Paul. Still bettable on DK, but much less advantageous. Over 4.5 on there, plus 114 odds. For Chris Paul, gets you 8.1% EV. Taurean Prince under 3.5 rebounds, 16.1% EV for your Underdog Pick'ems, the lower on 3.5 rebounds for Taurean Prince. Zach LaVine under 4.5 rebounds at plus 100 odds on DK Sportsbook, gets you 11.1% EV. Chris Dunn over 3.5 rebounds, 11.1% EV as well, plus 120 odds on DK Sportsbook. And are any of those on FanDuel? And actually, the LaVine one is okay on FanDuel, under 4.5 rebounds on there for Zach LaVine at minus 104. But take the plus money one. Whenever you take a plus money bet over a minus money bet, like that, this might sound a little basic for some of you, but if it's not, this is going to fucking change your life. Please always take the plus money bet. Really important. It's why you should line shop. Plus money means you're not paying VIG on the bet. Minus money means that you are paying VIG according to whatever amount under 100 it is. So just keep that in mind. But betting, that's betting 101 stuff. Unabated makes it easy for you, though. It'll just tell you this one's got a higher EV. So if you want to be willfully stupid, you can be willfully stupid with Unabated. That should be their catchphrase, their tagline. I'm sure it would really work well for the ads I do. Ivica Zubac over 2.5 assists, plus 120 odds. Be willfully stupid with Unabated at the 12.7% EV. Though I guess that wouldn't be willfully stupid because you're doing something to stop yourself. And at 12.7% EV, we're workshopping the tagline here in the marketing department. Looks good, though, for Zubac here. DK Sportsbook, plus 120 odds, over 2.5 assists. Evan Mobley, under 3.5 assists, minus 130 odds, gets you 15.9% EV on DK Sportsbook. Not available on the Pick'em sites. Pick'ems are tight today. Pick'ems are usually a little bit looser than this. Usually loose slots. Today they're tight slots. Slot machines, that is. Not sluts, please. If I didn't enunciate that, please don't misread me. Like Kelly Oubre, under 1.5, plus 150 odds here for DK Sportsbook for under 1.5 assists, that is. 9.7% EV for Kelly Oubre. Even though he's going to play a lot of court time, that one spooked me a little bit. But plus 150, you could absolutely take it. And that much EV as well. Gershon Yabusele, our strong fat man, under two, and without context, that probably sounds really weird. Under 2.5 assists. It sounds like a Japanese translation of me talking about Gershon Yabusele. Our strong fat man, though, under 2.5 assists, looks pretty good at minus 105 odds. 9.6% EV on DK Sportsbook. Smart to take the minus odds on the pick'em sites, though, right? What do you mean? I mean, the minus one, that's all you get. It's just the default odds for a pick'em. Every pick'em you have, it's going to default. I mean, it's a little bit different, I guess, if you take a shorter leg one. But if you're playing like the 5-person pick'em, the odds are defaulting to minus 118 no matter what. And then if you were to try to increase it and do like a 1.25x, obviously the odds would be different on that as well. Willfully stupid is not following your heart. Let's get that out of the way right now. That's also true. That's a different kind of willfully stupid. Hartenstein, over 3.5 assists. Again, a guy that does assist a lot more than he has in previous stops. Plus 104 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, 9.6% EV for that one. Amir Coffey, no Kawhi Leonard today, more court time for him. 9.2% EV for Amir Coffey, over 1.5 assists at plus 160 odds. And Josh Giddey, plus 112, over 6.5. You're looking for a pedophile joke. There's none to be made here. 8.1% EV at plus 112 odds. If it were like plus 117, maybe we get there. Plus 112, I think would just be. He should literally be in jail if it's plus 112. Plus 117, whatever. not whatever, to be clear. You strong fat man to back up in a huge... I should have read the whole thing. That's on me. I don't want to say that whole thing out loud. Why would you think I'd want to say that out loud? Why would you give me that choice? It's not even Sophie's choice. It's Gershon Yabusele's choice. Let's resort this. Zach Collins again. The Zach Collins line's an underdog. Somebody's making him while drunk. 47.9% EV on under 11.5. Let's not debate age of consent loss. Under 11.5 PRAs on Underdog today. Zach Collins again. Fade him on Underdog if those pick'em lines are still available. Bruce Brown under 10.5 PRAs looking good on Underdog as well. 18.1% EV for those. Tim Hardaway Jr. I've said it before in context, not just out of the blue. I said it before talking about Joel Embiid. We can all agree. If you look up dictionary and look up huge pussy, Joel Embiid's in there. Whenever he's going to face a good team, he has an injury out. He doesn't show up. Tim Hardaway Jr., 13.4% EV, under 16.5 PRAs, plus 100 odds. I say pussy when I want to. That's what consent is. Plus 100 odds on DK Sportsbook. Looks good to go for Tim Hardaway Jr., under 16.5 PRAs. We're making them cleaning up on Underdog Pick'ems right now. Trey Jones under 9.5 PRAs. Looks good to go. 13.1% EV on Underdog. Not available anywhere else. Jamal Shed under 8.5 PRAs, 12.6% EV. Again, you are getting the entire big three, quote unquote, for Toronto. Honestly, I like those guys. I shouldn't make fun of them. But quickly, Barnes, bear it all in. Guys like Jamal Shed suffer a little bit. Under 8.5 PRAs, 12.6% EV. Chris Dunn over 12.5 PRAs. That's available on PrizePicks. Gets you 12% EV flat. Also bettable on DK Sportsbook, 9.1% EV for over 12.5 PRAs for Chris Dunn. And Emmanuel Quickly under 27.5 PRAs, 10.4% EV on DK Sportsbook. You can't get it anywhere else. That's unabated for you. If you want to get more guys, you want to rule guys in, rule guys out, it'll change the betting markets entirely that you see on screen. Right now on stream here, I just kind of take them all out if there's questionable tags. But you can play with it more, get more bets for yourself, get more sportsbook as well. Your BetMGMs, your Bet365s. I just show you the primary ones here, but go check out Unabated. They're a great partner for me, and they'll be a great partner for you too. If you click down below, click the link in the description, or go to unabated.com and use the promo code SPLASH, get $30 off. All right, last stage in our little gauntlet here on stream. Let's go to Stokastic. It's like going from Shelbyville to Springfield or Springfield to Shelbyville. None worse than the other. It feels like we're going to competing towns here, but that's what we do. I'm the Switzerland in this space. I just want you guys to get good products. It's always my goal. I feel like a shill saying it that way, but like really, that's the whole thing in betting. It's having shit that you know you're not going to get led astray by, and betting in DFS is like 99% of the battle. And you can tell by how many Discord subscribers there are to betting channels are just fucking losers. Like that's the channels themselves, like the losers, of course. You just need good tools and good data. That's the most important part of any part of your process. And then you trust it. And if it's not working over the period of months, and you go, well, where did I fuck up here? And then you try to fix it. But ideally, good process will get you right more often than not. So when I get shelled in NBA DFS these last 2 days, I know I can come back here and go like, all right, I still feel good about my process, know what I'm doing. I did weight this season a little bit higher today, though, because I just want to try to make my lineups the most of my lineups today. These lineups you're about to see simmed on the screen, though, are all stochastic data. I have no effect on the inputs here. The sim projections you saw, sim ownership that you saw in the top part of the video, that's all my data. That's all my projections overlaid on stochastic stuff. What we're going to see right now is just what they have for you. And again, get all the data and tools that I'm showing you here on screen. 15% off. Link in the description. Go check it out. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate all you guys being here. Again, make sure to subscribe down below with the like button. Goes a long way for me here. Subscribes especially. Try to get to 1,000 subscribers here so we can start putting ads on the channel and get the algorithm to reward us more, because that's unfortunately the YouTube game. It shows your channel more when you're running ads, which makes sense as a business. But, it sucks as a new channel. So that's the grind here. But new shows Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. That's the deal. Kuzma sank your ship yesterday. Yeah, Kuzma didn't have that well projected anyway. But yeah, with him having Poole out, he was doing okay. It's a tough scene. Hopefully he's out today. That would be my hope. I would really love him and Carrington to be out. It's like this lock in Jared Butler and call it a day and have some fun. Have my Jared Butler, Maxey, Cole, Cade Cunningham, maybe McCollum lineups. I think that's where probably would be all the spots, all the guard spots available. The Sarge swap did not work out either. Yeah, I didn't enjoy that. I really hate not having my lineups kind of be what I intended them to be at the beginning of the slate, but you have to get used to that. You just have to kind of swap no matter what. But honestly, I was just like out of swaps. Like with Jokic in the last game of the slate, like there were no swaps left. It's like if I had Tatum in a lineup especially, it was fucked. It was really not the most fun one, even though Steph Curry was fine. Some of the chalk didn't do me that well yesterday. Chalk that I had. And I was low on Amin Thompson. That was a fucking big fail by me. If I'm going to take an L, I'll take an L on Amin Thompson yesterday. Went 50 fucking fantasy points for the millionth time in a row. Just rebounding like Dennis Rodman in his prime. Your number one ROI lineup right now, according to Stokastic. Thankfully, Amin Thompson not on this slate. Tyrese Maxey is going to be like 8K next time out. Tyrese Maxey, you're in your number one ROI lineup here with Kason Wallace, Tyrese Martin, 2 Tyreses. Tell Tyrese he's going to be really excited. Caleb Martin, Victor Wembanyama, Jared Butler, Julian Champagny, Cade Cunningham. Number 2 ROI lineup is Butler again. Butler, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, Yabusele, DeAndre Ayton, Cade Cunningham, Noah Clowney, Victor Wembanyama. Number 3, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre once again, Aaron Wiggins, Gershon Yabusele again, Vika Zubac, Jared Butler again, Noah Clowney, Nikola Jokic. Number 4, Butler, my boy Butler. He's coming in even with Bub Carrington playing right now. Jared Butler, not necessarily playing, but in the projections is always playing. Jared Butler, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, Yabusele, DeAndre Ayton, SGA, Obi Toppin, Victor Wembanyama. At number 5, you have SGA, Stephon Castle, Julian Champagny, Pascal Siakam, Nicholas Claxton, Jared Butler, Yabusele, Victor Wembanyama. So you're getting Jared Butler in all top 5 here. He is going to play backup guard minutes, though again, 21-minute projection for him might be a little bit lofty for the fact that he is playing is right now direct backup to Bub Carrington. You need them to be on the court together, which they were for part of the second half yesterday. There's no guarantee that happens again because they were also really far behind. They might have just thought having 2 guys out there that can get shots up from 3 might be good. I think Jared Butler comes with risk if Carrington is in, so I'll just say that for the 5th time on the stream. But it's an important one because I love Butler, but like he's got some risk to him. That said, Jared Butler to 3K salary, 3% ROI, one of only 2 positive ROI players in the slate, according to Stokastic's top 150 lineups in the sim. Yabusele, number 2 with a 0.7% ROI for him. Aaron Wiggins into the negatives, negative 3%, but he is still one of the top ROI guys technically. SGA, negative 3.2%. Nikola Jokic, negative 3.6%. And Tyrese Martin, not far behind, a negative 4.6%. In terms of your top exposed players, you're getting Tyrese Maxey in 72% of lineups. So basically right with the field, 71%. So not a big pro stand, definitely not an anti-stand for Tyrese Maxey as your chalk player in the slate. Gershon Yabusele getting 66% here compared to the field's 31%. He'll look a lot better if Andre Drummond is out. He already looks pretty good as it is. He's power forward center as well at 5K. And I do like Yabusele facing Washington. He's honestly been a fun player. You can mock him as much as we want for him being a strong fat, but he is a really quality strong fat. I'd want him on my intramural team if I could. Kelly Oubre, 53% exposure. Fields at 59%, so still a lot of Kelly Oubre, but technically lower than the field. Jared Butler, huge stand-in favor, so they are with me on Jared Butler. 47% Butler right now compared to the field, 16%. He's a guy producing over a fantasy point per minute. The comp for me right now, if you have Bub Carrington playing, is you're kind of getting your Ty Jerome here. Guy's going to be really producing well per minute, but he's not the starter, so that's really the main thing. And it's also going to be hard for him to close unless the game blows out, which it certainly can. But Jared Butler, getting chalky here in the top 150 lineups. Less chalky for the field, but at 3K minimum, he's a good player. He's going to look infinitely better, and he should have him in every single lineup if you get Bub Carrington out. Caleb Martin, 45% here. More minutes to go around on the wing. Overall for Philadelphia, he's playing mid-30s to high 30s minutes in a lot of games. 31% for the field. You're getting about 13% more. And Cade Cunningham. Stokastic fully in lockstep with me for the most part here. Cade Cunningham, 38% sim exposure compared to the field's 24%. So I'm higher on Cade, but they're high enough here that I don't feel bad about it. Your most positive leverage plays, Yabusele, you're getting 36% more than the field. Jared Butler and Stokastic's top 150 lineups, you're getting him 30% more than the field for Jared Butler at his 3K salary. SGA, 21% more than the field for him. Field to be playing him about 15%. Cade Cunningham, 15% more than the field. Tyrese Martin, 15% more than the field compared to the field's 21.5%. And Caleb Martin, about 13% more than the field. Negative leverage, Brandon Boston, they don't want you to get it all. The field's playing 39%. Stokastic wants you to get 6%. So strong fade on Brandon Boston, who mostly projects decently well at 3,400, shooting guard, small forward eligibility, but not a play they feel like you need to have. They'd rather have Jared Butler, and I get that. If your choice is Brandon Boston and Jared Butler, I think it's pretty close. But at 3K minimum, you probably take Jared Butler more often than not. Giannis here, you're getting negative 16% leverage, so much lower than the field's 23% ownership. They want you to pay up for Jokic, want you to pay up for SGA more. So Giannis is a fade here. I guess Wemby is too. Wembanyama. No, Wembanyama you're getting more of. So you're getting less Giannis, more of all those guys. James Harden, you're getting only 1%, so negative 9% leverage. They're not going his way despite Kawhi Leonard being out. Stephon Castle, negative 7.5% leverage for him at 21.5% field ownership. Kelly Oubre, you're getting less than the field of him. Field's playing about 60%. You're getting 53%. And Karl-Anthony Towns, field to play him 17%. You're getting 11%. So that's your Stokastic stands, guys. I'll give you my splash plays for the day. But again, one more quick ask here. Show some love to the sponsors. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Stokastic, 15% off. And that's in perpetuity, too. Their highest dollar packages with all the Sims tools. Their lowest dollar packages like the lineup generator, stuff like that. all their data too if you just want that stuff and you just want to hand build for whatever reason. It's all 15% off. So please support the show. Half that money goes to me, half that money goes to Stokastic. So you're showing big corporations and you're supporting the mom and pop shop that is Splash Play. Unabated, our presenting sponsor here, $30 off for them. Promo code SPLASH, another great product. You want to combine those two together, you'll do a lot better in DFS and betting. And and that's it for today, guys. So my splash plays for the day. So look, I have to give the caveat about Jared Butler. If you saw him, the ownership were to come up even higher, I'd worry a little bit about it. That said, Jared Butler, I think even with the backup minutes, I feel pretty comfortable with him at 3K, being one of the stronger values in the slate. Match versus Philly is not anything to worry about, and Jared Butler's just a good enough producer. So I'm heavy on it right now. I have some concern he doesn't get to that 21 minutes, but at 3K, that might not kill you anyway, as long as he gets to like 20 fantasy points. So Jared Butler is my pick for my value splash play of the day. Kelly Oubre is another priority one, even though I am lower than the field, but he's chalk. Tyrese Maxey, I'm higher than the field. He's also super chalk, but I think he's good chalk. Cade Cunningham, I think good chalk. If you get DeJounte Murray out, I would run to CJ McCollum. As it is, McCollum's an okay play. Anybody else I really want to... If you could somehow find a way to pay for Jokic, I think he's still a good play, assuming that he does go today after being sick yesterday. None of these aren't all straight value, guys. I'm just trying to give you the plays that I really want to build around today. And Jared Butler allows you to do it all, right? I think that's it. I think that's enough splash plays for the day. So that's it for here, guys. Again, I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Also be back on Stokastic in about 1 minute. Shit, I got to go, guys. So I'm going to go head over there now. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your days, and good luck. Bye-bye.